Hi, it's Writing Wednesday, and without delving too deeply into the question of whether I can still call it Writing Wednesday if I didn't get the video uploaded till Thursday, I think we're just going to go with it, and I'm going to move right into the next of my book talk series, talking about a book that had a huge impact on me as a young person, Chaim Potok's My Name is Asher Lev. Now, the first week of this series I talked about To Kill a Mockingbird, which is a book pretty much everybody has read. Last week I talked about Michael Crummey's Galore, which is a book that everybody who's into Newfoundland literature and a lot of people who are into just Canadian literature have read. A lot of people haven't heard of Chaim Potok or My Name is Asher Lev. Actually, Chaim Potok turned up as a crossword clue when I was doing the crossword the other day, but he was clued as the author of The Chosen, which is probably his best known book if anybody does still remember his works. It was very popular in the 80s, 70s and 80s when I was coming of age. And Chaim Potok is a Jewish writer who writes mostly about the lives of Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn, New York, often in the immediate post-World War II era, 1950s, 60s. And that's the world that this novel comes out of, My Name is Asher Lev. It is a novel about a young man from a very strict sect of Hasidic Jews, very insular community, and this young man, Asher Lev, has an incredible talent and gift for art, for visual art, for drawing and painting. And he develops that as a young person. His family don't know what to do with it. They are not of the sort of most orthodox who would consider that any, art representing beings is a violation of the commandment, thou shalt not make any graven images. So it's not that they think that drawing per se is evil, it's just that they believe everything that a person does must be done to further the good of the community and the study of Torah and God's work in the world. And nobody around Asher Lev can see how his art, which obsesses him as it does with a young artist, can be valuable. When I came across this book, I was a college student at a Seventh-day Adventist college. A lot of my friends were art majors, and it was a very, very popular book there because I think we all struggle to some extent with that question of how do I balance the needs and the demands of my religious community with the desire to pursue my own artistic vision. For me, that was as a writer. For a lot of other people, like Asher Lev, it was as a visual artist. The book, I find, is beautifully written, very engaging. What I love it for, and what I still cherish it for all these years later, even though my view on the book and on the struggle Asher faces and the decisions he makes has changed quite a bit over time, and I've written a fairly lengthy blog post about this, which I'll post the link so you can go read it. But as a writer, what I really love about this book is the way Chaim Potok, in this and in all his novels, at least the ones I've read about the Hasidic Jewish community, how he handles ambiguity. I haven't got a lot of time as a reader for novels that are very, very black and white. This character is good, this character is bad. This dilemma is a clear-cut conflict between the good guys and the bad guys. I don't think real life is ever like that. And particularly when people are writing about religion and about faith communities, which is a particular interest of mine, I dislike books where the religious faith, as very often in Christian books, is seen as being purely good and always helping the person and always a positive force in their life. But I also dislike the kind of literature where a person is rebelling against their religious faith and it's seen as wholly narrow and repressive and an evil thing that must be struggled against. I mean, I think it's much more complex and nuanced and layered than that. And for everybody who gets a lot of help and nourishment and support and encouragement from their spiritual community, there are also people who find it very confining and restrictive, and a lot of people for whom it's an element of both. What I love about My Name is Asher Lev is that you always see throughout the book how clear it is that Asher has to some extent, break away from the confines of his family and community and religion in order to pursue the kind of art that he wants to do. And at the same time, you see how that religious community, though very narrow and insular, is also very nourishing to Asher's parents, to the adults around him, even to him to some extent. He is a genuine believer, and I love that ambiguity. The ultimate conflict in the book that it's all building up to is when Asher, as a young man, paints a series of paintings which include two paintings that are essentially crucifixions, but they are images of his Jewish mother crucified and torn by her love for her son and her husband and all the conflicting challenges in her life. Asher loves his mother very much. He is a very devout Jew, and yet he chooses the imagery of the crucifixion because it's such a powerful image of suffering, and also knowing, though unhappy about it, that it will make so many people in his community upset that he has used this very explicitly Christian imagery in a painting of his Jewish mother. There's a paragraph here which I really like. I stopped in front of a mound of snow and with my finger drew in one continuous line the contour of my face. Asher Lev in snow on a cold Brooklyn parkway. Asher Lev, Hasid. Asher Lev, painter. I looked at my right hand, the hand with which I painted. There was power in that hand. Power to create and destroy. Power to bring pleasure and pain. Power to amuse and horrify. There was in that hand the demonic and the divine at one and the same time. The demonic and the divine were two aspects of the same force. Creation was demonic and divine. Creativity was demonic and divine. Art was demonic and divine. I was demonic and divine. Asher Lev, son of Arya and Rivka Lev, was the child of the master of the universe and the other side. Asher Lev paints good pictures and hurts people he loves. I think that's a great paragraph that so sums up what I mean about the pull and push of ambiguity in this book, how it refuses to rely on simple answers like the great artist must leave his narrow community behind in order to paint. That's there, but there's so much else there as well. I love a book that reflects the messy, complex ambiguity of the world as I see it. And Chaim Potok in My Name is Asher Lev and other books like The Chosen does a great job of that. Highly recommend them.